Hello everyone! I have been making a kit called the BA Kit. It stands for Blender Asset Kit, and I decided to make a video of question and answer. So let's get into it. Question 1. What is BA Kit? Well, BA Kit is a mix of files to help with making games in Blender. So what I did, I stuck a bunch of different folders, like your levels and your textures, images, sounds. You have object groups, and you have objects, and you have scripts, and then you also have different tools, like I made a seamless generator. Alright, moving on to question number 2. Who is it for? Well, anyone that likes to use Blender for game creation. You can be a beginner, or you can be super advanced and you might want to get rid of all my logic bricks that I added to it and just switch over to Python. You're totally able to do that. This kit is just designed to maybe give you an idea of how to make games in Blender. My method is not perfect, and it's not the only method. It just seems to be what works for me, and I'll show you how it works later, so hopefully it'll be something you like too, and if not, that's okay, you can stick with Blender. So, question number 3. Why not just use the default Blender game engine? Well, I haven't changed Blender game engine. I've just added features to help in the Blender game creation whole walkthrough and all that. Question number 4. Why the heck is it too big or so big? Well, because I've included all files required for the kit to just be downloaded, and then you unzip it, and then you can play it. You don't have to go through compiling or doing a bunch of crazy downloads and stuff. I mean, hopefully the downloads will just be something like in Linux. Maybe you won't have a 32-bit binary or something. But that's easily handled, and it's not really the kit's fault. It's just operating system. Okay. Question number 5. How do I use it? Well, this is where the fun begins. So, I included 2 different kits. One is the Slim, and it is the smallest download possible. It is just bare essentials, so it is 115 megabyte. Of course, when zipped up, it is, let's see here, it's a little smaller. Alright, yeah, much smaller. It is 27 megabytes, 27.7, so 30. And then the full kit, it has everything required. It has exports, it has Blender versions, everything. So that ends up being 569 megabyte. And a lot of people complain, oh man, it's just so big. Not really. Compared to like Unity or Unreal Engine or CryEngine, this really isn't that big. Although I do understand it is big, but it is a full game. It has it has 50 levels. It has Blender versions. It has exports already, so all you have to do is move level files. It has scripts. It's a full game, but it's very bare. It is very bare. So let's get into it. Okay, I have to find it. Here we go. So, alright. What you'll have in the full version is you'll have a bunch of folders: audio, Blender versions, exports, generated sprites, groups, levels, materials, objects, scripts, and textures, tools, and you'll have info and the main.blend. The main.blend is what you would run to export your games. And when you export your games, you'll end up with Linux 32, Linux 64, Windows 32, and Windows 64. I do not have Mac 32 and 64-bit versions yet, but later on I am going to ask someone with a Mac computer to export for me, and then I can just stick levels into it. Hopefully, if everything works out, we'll have Mac versions working too, so that'll be awesome. So I have instructions, text file. It says copy the levels folder into each export folder. Why does it say that? Well, because you export it, all you have is the libs, and then you have the game. The levels that I have included need to be moved in here for it to work. Else you'll end up with, well, you'll end up you'll end up with that, the splash screen, and then it'll load, and then because it's not finding level, the main menu, it'll just close because it's loading error. So what you'll do is you'll take the levels folder, which has level 1 through 50, and level select, and main menu. And like I said, main menu is the first level that loads whenever the splash screen stops. So you'll take that, you'll right click it, you'll copy, go to export, and for me it's the Linux 64-bit. For you it might be Windows 32, Windows 64, whatever. I'll run it, it'll go through the loading screen, and by default it's in windowed, but you can press F12 and it'll go full screen. You press it again, it'll toggle back. There's an info button here, which pops up an info screen, and press the quit button, it'll close that. I'll probably change the quit to close. Then you're presented with quit and play. If you play it, you see level select, you see level 1 through 5, and then you have arrow keys, or buttons. Later on I will have arrow key navigation. You click one of them, it'll go on to 6 through 10, 11 through 15, 16 through 20, 21 through 25, 26 through 30, 31 through 35, and 36 through 40, and 41 through 45, all the way up to 50. I probably could have stopped counting. Alright, so I'm going to go on the full screen, hopefully so you can see it better. Again, 1 through 50. Now, I'm going to play level 1, which is a first person, not really a shooter, but more of a click adventure. And no, it is not Minecraft. No, I really didn't take the grass from Minecraft. I made it on my own, and I decided I need some sort of ground object, and I like 8-bit graphics, so I wanted it to be pixely, but I wanted it to look like dirt. Sadly, I mean, it's not a bad thing that it looks like Minecraft, but that was not my intention. So anyway, each level has a HUD, which user interface has score, and every time you pick up one of those floating objects, it gives you 15. And this red object here, which is going back and forth, is an enemy, so if I touch him, it'll hurt me, and then it'll bring me back to the starting position. It does not restart the level, although that's easily changeable if you want. Right now it's left click on these side panels to bring the door up and down. Later on it will be the E key. E is in elephant, or elegant. And then this is what the end goal looks like. You touch that, it'll close it down, go to the level select, and it will open up a new level. And here is the second level, which is a 2.5D example project. Again, it's the same thing, but it has 2D physics. And it has teleporters. Again, it has the enemy. That'll bring you back to the starting position. And you touch the end goal, and it'll go on. Level 3 is a 2D example. It has orthographic. It has an orthographic camera, I think. Oh, yeah. Alright, reach the end goal. There you go. Yeah. So, there is a pause menu for. Oh. And the F1 key is the close button. So yeah, as I was saying, if you press the escape button, it'll pause down everything. And if you go to the quit, it'll bring you back to the main menu, and you can quit from there. So, now that we have that done, I'm going to delete the level. Now, the game kit. What you get: textures, images, and you have background images. You have a player, portals and doors, which is an example of a sprite sheet for Blender animations. You have the splash screen whenever it loads up. And you have level images, which later on I probably need to change that or add in like 5 levels at a time. And here's the ground, which is the top left, bottom left, and then bottom middle left. Okay, scripts. What we have a full screen, toggle, full screen for levels, maps to make the textures look crisp. We have Bitmaps toggle, which does not work right now, but I will work on that, see what happens. I have save and load, which happens whenever the level selection menu pops up. Save and load levels is whenever you're playing in each level has to have this script. But if you change one in one, then you'll have to change it in all levels, which can be tedious, but not necessarily too difficult. Sound pause and play. There is a feature later on that I will add for playing and pausing sound, so I will add that. Objects. It is exactly what you think it is. I had a default plane, cube, sphere, cylinder, cone, torus, and they're just objects, nothing really special. So I recommend using the objects only for like single objects. Otherwise, whenever you load in multiple objects, you will have to load in all of them with their unique names. There is a checkbox for that. So groups. This is probably the more important one. Groups allows you to have multiple objects, and you can press Ctrl G, and then you can select them as a whole group, and then whenever you load in the objects, you only have to use one checkbox, or no checkbox for groups. You just select it and then you can load it. I'll explain more about that side panel later. Generated sprites is if you use Spritify. Exports is where your exported games will go. Blender versions. I have Linux 32, 64, Windows 32, and Windows 64. Audio. There is no audio yet, but I will add them later. Alright. So, we are going to mess around with level 6. Here's what the levels will look like. You have the side panel, which has your render options, materials, textures, physics, all the wonderful stuff Blender has. I'm going to move that aside. On the bottom, we have the logic bricks, which ground object needs to have jump and solid, so the character won't pass through it, and the character will be able to jump whenever they're on top of it. just move those over to the sides. And, well, okay. So you don't have to see that. So, what is so cool about this kit? Well, I have this side panel here, which is an amazing add-on called Asset Library. It is really good. Highly recommend it. I'm very thankful to the developer that worked on it. So, you have the options of messing around with the custom path, which you have materials, objects, and groups. You just click the little folder icon beside it, and then you can navigate up to where you're at. And so, it's here. You'll find the materials, which be materials, and then you'll select OK. It will not load all of the blend files that are in different folders. You have to be within that folder, and then you have to press scan and update, and then it'll show you everything there. Else, if you're somewhere else and there's no blend file, then you're not going to see it. So let's see here. I'm going to go over to groups and okay. This is before I started messing around with it. Let's see here. Really quickly. Alright. I've made some updates recently. I'll just have to get back into that again. But anyway, what I did in mine was I did groups 2D and I did 3D. And then I created new blend files that had groups and 3D objects and 2D. Let's see here. I'll just do the same here to show what I did. Oh yeah, different scenes. Originally, I stuck all of the groups in one blend file, which you're seeing here. There was collectibles, doors, enemies, menus, players, and teleporters. So the different players had a 3D character with the end goal, and then the 2D. This is the 2.5D, and as you can see, I added a smooth. I was gonna say smooth parent. It is a slow parent. The camera to the player, so it gives it a nice, easy eye transition. And then there is the 2D, which the camera is orthographic. And then I had a player spawner and an enemy spawner. Okay. So, if you're starting off by default, and I'll just move to layer 3. And here you are with a blank game project, game level. By default, you might have something that looks like this after installing the asset library, until you open up one of my blend files, and then you'll check groups, objects, and custom paths, but there's nothing there. So you'll navigate to materials, objects, and groups, and then you'll scan and update, and you'll see all of your files. Then, well, let's see here. You want to add, well, level objects. So you'll navigate to either groups or objects, and let's see here. I'm going to go with 3D ground dirt. You're going to hit import, and there you go. You have a ground object. And then you can duplicate that and keep going and edit it as much as you want to. Quick navigation. I've enabled a few things in my user preferences, which I have put in my instruction text file. Alright, first off, in the interface tab, large cursors. In Linux, it's a problem whenever you're in edit mode, you can't really see your cursor, so I just enable large cursors. Nothing really in editing. Input, I use emulate 3-button mouse. That's it there. Add-ons, of course, the import export blend library, publish, and dynamic spacebar. And I don't know, F2 isn't really required. I don't see much of a difference in it anymore. Let's see here. I think that's about it. You can enable Spritify if you want. It can be good for animated objects. Okay, nothing in themes. File. I usually turn saved versions down to 0 and timer down to 1, and then enter in your name as the author. System. I like using DPI of 69. I disable MIP maps. And of course you can set up your CUDA cores for GPU processing, GLSL compute, and that's it for me. Save user settings, and there you go. Okay, so yeah. Let's see here. I'm using dual screen, so I keep moving that over to the side. Let's see here. I'm going to open up groups. Whoa. Groups. And press Control N. New blend file. I'm just going to delete that. And I'm going to create a weird shape, just so you know that it's been created by me. There we go. Some interesting eye candy. And let's see here, I'm going to name this eye candy. With a capital C. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to put it over there. Let's see here. I'm going to save this in 3D eye candy. 1001, and then I'm going to go over here, and I think I put it in, let's see here, right, okay, yes, that is in groups, which I probably should have pressed Control G, but we're going to try something out. Alright, I'm going to navigate to 3D. And there's the eye candy, and of course any other blend in here, it'll load up, so you have been warned. Refresh. Uh-oh, there were no groups. So I'm going to select it, Control G, I'm going to call it eye candy 1. I'm going to save it, come over here, and then there we go. If I click it, and scroll down here, press import. Boom. We have eye candy. I'll put it back there. And you can save it. You can save it in any view you want. It won't matter, it'll go to the camera. But I usually just like to keep it in front view. Your character moves left and right on the X negative and X positive axis. Your characters move up and down on the Z positive and negative. So after saving that, this is level 6. I'm going to close that down. And then I'm going to take the level just to check. Yes. I'm going to copy that over. I'm going to paste that in here. And there we go. Play the game. It'll load up. F12 so you can see it. Okay. So, maybe I don't want to play through all those levels. And since I'm editing, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. There are 2 save files that it saves to. One is a temporary, which is for each level, and that is the score, and it automatically goes to 0 whenever you're out of the level. And then I'm going to open up score, and then here is all 50 levels plus score. Let's see here. Oh, save it, Control S. And see, I did not have to close the game. And then boom. There we go. Ta-da! We have our eye candy in the background there. And then the camera angle is pretty wonky, but I think it gives a pretty cool effect. Let's see here. One thing I'm noticing is pressing F12 for full screen and the levels isn't added yet. So I'm going to need to mess around with that soon. So, if you'll notice it says score 15. If I exit out and go to the level, when I come back to it, it says score 0. It's because it was using a temporary save and not the actual save, and it does not save all of it until you go there, come back, and it'll say 15. So that's how that works. Also, if you wanted to, let's see, go back, and you can play the game. I'll leave it up in the top corner. I'll put my levels over here, and go over to level 6. I'll move that down there, and then maybe I want to move or duplicate the eye candy where it's over here. I'll move it to in front. Here I am. I'm editing this and the game's still open. I go over to level select. I can press that. It's still there. Now if I move that to the background and I save it, it's not going to update. So if I go that and I quit, I'll do it again. Now it'll update. So it's not a live update, but you don't have to close the game a lot of times. I have noticed that the game can quit or crash sometimes with having different files edited and saved and blah blah blah, but it's not often, and it can be a problem, but not really. So that is an example of how the kit works. And everything you get with it. So let's hear last question. Question number 6. Why was it put together? Well, I made this kit to help me in making games with Blender. Then I found it would be better to share it and, and to help others old and new in making Blender games. My passion is kind of make a 2D platform game, which I've kind of done here. I have noticed that my platform game needs some refinement. Sometimes jumping can glitch out and you'll do a super jump. And I think that's due to Blender's timer versus whenever you land. I have it set to a tap mode of like 16 or 8. And sometimes your player is up in the air just a little bit below or above ground whenever it resets itself. So it wigs out and it jumps really high. Okay. I hope you enjoyed this little walkthrough review / tutorial of my BA kit. And I hope to see how big this game can become. It has 50 levels. It's a full game. It's got a lot put into it. The game kit itself has been about 2 weeks of total work on it time. It's come quite a ways. I have put a lot of work into especially the levels. Which I can show you how the levels save and switch. Okay, let's see here. So, here we go. The end goal, I stretch it up so you couldn't jump past it. What it does is it sends a message. I prefer to keep each level with its own number, or I could have done next level and just handle it with up above, which is right here. This is the level control. It also controls the score. So this is level 3, so we're getting the level 3 open, which came from the door, which leads all the way up to level 3 equals 1. Then this, which is the level keeper, copies that data whenever it receives a message of refresh and level 3 equals 1. But it also has score and level 3, and then level 3 is open. That is what is required with each level. And so this is level 3. Oh wait, this is level 2, so it needs to have level 3. Because whenever it saves, it is saving a pretty big file. Arg. Let's see here. Alright, text editor, and save and load. Alright. So, what we have here is each level has its own save, which is set to info. Then the file exports to a path, and then the name of scorekeep or scorekeep1 empty.txt. It saves score, level 1, level 2, level 3, all the way up to 50. And it also has line 50. And that is all important. And it saves the property from the score 1 empty. So yeah. If you have any other questions, let me know in the comments below, and I hope you enjoy using the BA kit. I enjoy working on this project. I've even got my sister working on it, and she knows very little to nothing about Blender. And she is making some pretty cool levels. Later on, I could see this thing becoming really awesome. Like a user repository on the web, and people could upload their files, their levels, and then other people can download them and rate them and comment on it. This is something that I really love to have later on. That way it could be user moddable. How many games out there have that kind of creativity between people that is really awesome? Not many, but I know there are some out there, and not the first, but it would be really awesome to have. I'm looking forward to seeing what all of you make with my kit, and I'm thankful for any and all tips, tricks, and collaborations that you guys help me out with. any ideas for what I should add later, help me make something awesome for you, so you can make something awesome for the world or for yourself or whatever. Have fun with it. Thanks for watching, and see you later.